Hello and welcome back to the RamsTalkPodcast. It's a double header this week. Derby County have got two games at Pride Park, and the second one being on Sunday, 3 p.m. We would say thanks to Sky, but I don't actually think it is. I've been trying to see if it actually is televised, but I can't see anything. So it just seems to be fixtures, the fixture gods doing Derby County well this week. And to talk it through with me, Sheffield Wednesday, I've got James from the Wednesday Till I Died podcast. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thanks for having me on. Do really appreciate it. Although, don't really like going to Pride Park as a Sheffield Wednesday fan. I must be said. Just on previous meetings, that's all.
Well, yeah, that's we'll probably talk about past meetings, and the one probably sticks out. No one was there for, but in terms of the one that probably sticks out most recently, but. Derby County, Sheffield Wednesday's kind of been a very interesting to and fro over the past few years since obviously we've been in League One and we've not really come up against you in the last few years. So maybe things have changed. Could you just give Derby County fans just a very quick synopsis of where you guys are, how you guys are getting on and off the pitch? I know you had some things with ownership and stuff. We know all about that, but yeah, just kind of give Derby fans kind of where you guys are at so far.
Yeah, I feel like Sheffield Wednesday and Derby are quite similar in terms of how things have gone so far, and I think you're just a year behind us, really, in terms of, we got, you sent us down, of course, that game that we'll not talk about, and then obviously you came down the season after, and then it took you 2 seasons to get out of League One, took us 2 seasons, so we're very, very, very similar. And you alluded to the things off the pitch. We're coming up to 10 years of Dejpon Chansiri's tenure at the football club, and we did a pod last week in the international break, kind of summing up some of the things that have happened in his 10 years. And it's not great, put it that way. There's been protests to get the chairman out, and I think at the moment there's just a sense of apathy amongst the fan base, in that we know he's not really the man for the job, but he threatens us with that he's going to pull the plug on the funding and stuff like that, and the club needs him really, or needs someone to foot the bills and everything, and I think people are just scared that that's going to happen. It's not great being a Sheffield Wednesday fan from that perspective, and obviously any bit of positivity we kind of hold on to. Obviously, Danny Rail's come in. He came in just over a year ago now. It was October last year when he came in. Obviously, we had a terrible start to last season. And we've had kind of 2 miracles, really. Last season was a miracle that we stayed up. The season before, obviously, getting promotion and coming back in the playoffs, that was a miracle. I don't think we're going to have another miracle this season and kind of challenge for the playoffs or anything like that. It is set out to be a pretty boring season. I spoke this weekend about, is this our level, as in just mid-table championship football, where you win one, you lose one, you draw one, and then you just rinse and repeat that kind of throughout the season, really. And I said at the start of the season I wanted that. I'm kind of backtracking a little bit now, because it is incredibly boring and incredibly frustrating at the moment. I'm sure we'll get into kind of recent form a little bit later on.
Yeah, you're kind of in a similar boat to ourselves. In the way this season's panned out, I'm just looking at a few of your results, and you've only got 3 defeats that kind of stick out, but they're to Burnley, Watford, Sheffield United. Two of those teams we've come up against this season, we've come unstuck, and Burnley we've got yet to come. They're teams who are probably going to be up there in the upper echelons of the Championship. And other than that, you've kind of picked up a couple of wins, a couple of decent wins, one against Norwich, and then a few draws, the same as us. So it's kind of been, like you said, that mid-table obscurity that we're probably both finding ourselves in at the moment. And you may be right there in terms of is that where you are at the moment as a club, really?
Yeah, if you're in the top 6, we'll not beat you unless your name's West Bromwich Albion. That is the only side that we've beaten them twice now, back in the last season and then this season when we played them at Hillsborough. Other than that, I think it's under Danny Rail we haven't beaten a top 6 side, and I think more often than not we've actually lost to them. And the same can be said this season as well. Yeah, Leeds, Sunderland, Sheffield United, Burnley, lost to them all. Already this season. So yeah, when we come up against the teams that we, quote unquote, should be, we seem to do all right. But yeah, against those top sides, we do tend to struggle a little bit. And I think that comes down to just the players that we've got at our disposal. We've not got that quality that we need. And, Danny Rill's come in, and when he first came in, it wasn't all plain sailing straight away. Obviously, it was a lot better than what we had before, and it looked like he'd got some sort of plan and an identity and the way that he wanted to play football, high pressing, and it looked great, but we didn't have the players to do that. I mean, he's had a January transfer window, he's had the summer, but we haven't had any money really to spend. We spent $2.5 million on Ike Ugbo, who's yet to score a league goal so far this season. He was on loan with us at the back end of last season, and hence why we splashed the cash and tried to sign him. But yeah, Danny's had to kind of relax some of his principles a little bit. I think that's because of the quality that we've got. Go a little bit longer. And this season we've seen against some of the better sides. I mentioned West Brom. You mentioned the win against Norwich. I think we had something like between 30 and 40% possession at home as well in both of those games, which is not great, but it worked. So I don't think the way that we're playing now is not really how Danny wants us to play. We did actually switch to a back four at the weekend just gone, but previous to that we've been playing a back five, 3 centre backs with wing backs, and it's looked a lot better. I think the improvement from last season is vast, but still, as any football fan, you want him more all the time, and I think we just need to temper his expectations a little bit. And like I alluded to already, just accept that this is mid-table football. I think the worry always is that how do we get to that next step? How do we push further when our chairman can't even pay a tax bill, and we've been under a transfer embargo. I know there's no transfer window open, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it is. It's kind of we're just every week as it comes, very much hand to mouth at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I went to your game against Leicester City when they were down here, and you win we win at home, and it was kind of that identity that Danny Rill was trying to instill, that passion, that drive within the team, especially with battling where you were last season. And I was kind of sat there going, if anything's going to come out of, like you say, the things off the pitch that are going to come out of it, I think Danny Rill's going to be the mainstay of that in what he can do on the pitch. He's just trying to find that identity. I think switching between the 3 and the 4. I was having a look at a couple of games before we went live, and you're looking at the back 4 with that's holding midfielder, but then you also that back 3. It's very similar to Derby and what we're trying to do. We haven't found that kind of that key formation, that key setup that, and Warren's still trying to tinker with it. But so does Danny Rill really kind of maybe set up against the opposition this year, rather than kind of, or is he still maybe trying to find how it suits you guys?
Yeah, to a certain extent, I think he does that. And I think again, when you are where we are, and we did struggle last season, and we survived on the last day of the season, even though the form at the end was good. You still have to realise, and first objective is just survival in this league. So you've just got to get the points first and foremost. So I spoke last week about there's always like a split in the league at some point, and you need to be in the right side of that split. When there is a gap that starts to form, and it's about getting those points early doors. And yeah, Danny does chop and change. I think it's more just down to the stress levels on the squad. We haven't got a massive squad. We certainly haven't got a big squad in terms of strength in depth. So it's about managing that, and making sure that he always talks a lot about going into the red zone and things like that, and making sure that we can last the season. You don't really see the fruition of that now. You see that kind of, in the back end of the season. And touch wood, at the moment, we haven't had too many injuries. Akin Firmino, he got a big one against Portsmouth. He's going to be out for quite some time. But other than that, we're doing okay in that department, which is very rare for a Sheffield Wednesday fan to say that, because normally we're whinging and moaning about how many players we've got out injured. So that's that's one positive. I'm just looking at now on who scored. They had it down as playing a 3-4-3 on Saturday. It was very much a 4-4-2, I thought, which when we saw it, I was like, 4-4-2? and I've not seen a 4-4-2 in years, but you know, but yeah, it's. I think nowadays with the formations, it's one formation in possession, one formation out of possession can get quite confusing at times, can't it? Really, but yeah, we haven't. I think the days of a best 11 and kind of best formation are long gone. Unless you're top of the league and you dominate in a season, you can just do whatever you want. I think there is that element, like you just mentioned, about changing it to accommodate the opposition that you come up against, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at your 3-4-3. Well, obviously, what I could find, and I saw Max Lowe as one of the three centre halves, and I was like, he never played there.
So he did play centre half at the weekend, didn't you?
Really?
It was all right to be honest. Them lot down the road said that he was awful and terrible footballer and everything else, which I don't know whether that was just because he was coming to us or not. Obviously, they released him. And he did have a bit of a torrid time at the beginning. A lot of goals came down his side, but I think he's since we switched to the back five, he has been playing as a wing back primarily, but he's slotted into that. He was playing like a left centre half in a three, and the weekend he was in a two really. Again, like I said, it does move about and change. It's quite. It wasn't like a distinct 4-4-2, but yeah, he's done all right. To be fair, he's not a standout performer. I don't think we've got anyone in the squad at the moment other than Shea Charles that's doing that. Because he's pretty much a very bang average season so far. But no, he's I'm quite impressed with him, to be honest.
Well, I said he's probably a footballer. He doesn't care where he goes. He's gone Sheffield United. He's gone yourselves. He's gone Notts Forest. He's gone Derby. He doesn't really care who he goes to, does he?
No, he doesn't. I suppose next. I mean, maybe he's not going to play for Aston Villa, but I'm going to see another two teams with a rivalry. He'll probably tip up at them next or something like that.
That's very true. But I mean, looking at a couple of other players and a couple of dangermen that Derby fans should look out for on Sundays. I mean, I'm picking out a mainstay within your team. I think he's just going to he's got to have a statue by the end of his tenure. That's Barry Bannon. But I mean, you've got Charles also in form, and then also Michael Smith up top, who Derby fans will be gutted to hear that we were linked with him. But was it ever going to happen? Probably not. I don't know how true those reports were, but he seems to be the player that we maybe are crying out for to link with Yates. But talk to me about a couple of the players that I've just mentioned there and how they're doing this season.
Yeah, I mean, Barry Bannon is just Barry Bannon. I don't think I need to speak much about him. He's been here since 2015 now, so he's coming up to 10 years at the club as well. And you're right, yeah, there will be a statue outside at some point. I think he'll end his career at Sheffield Wednesday. He spoke about he had opportunities to leave the football club, but he didn't. He stayed and stayed loyal to us, which loyalty is dead in football, but certainly we've got that with him. And yeah, he's just kind of, when on his day, he's unstoppable. I think as he gets older, those days are getting less and less, if I'm being perfectly honest. But when you look at the creativity that he can bring and some of the passes that he can pick out, a second to none. And I think, to be honest, me included, we've come a bit. We get too used to it now. I think we've been blessed with him for so long that we kind of take it for granted what he can do. And sometimes, when he has a bit of an off day, we get frustrated. But his off day is still probably, on par, if not better, with most of the other the other players that we've got on the pitch. So we can't get too disheartened with him. He takes it very seriously, and he's very hard on himself as well. But yeah, he's just non-stop. Touch wood, it's not been. I don't think he's had much of an injury since he's been here. He's played pretty much every single game, and yeah, he's definitely a Sheffield Wednesday legend. Pierce Charles. They say never fall in love with a lone player. And I think we've already done that. We fall foul of this every single season, to be fair. There's always one player that we have on loan who we're thinking, I wish he was ours permanently. And yeah, Charles is that person at the moment. Southampton signing for 10 million from Man City not the summer just gone, the one before, when they were in the Championship. And you can see why, really. Again, he doesn't stop. He's played every single game for us since he signed for us. He signed a couple of games into the season. He plays for Northern Ireland as well, which there's been 3 international breaks. He's played 6 games for Ireland in that space of time as well. So he's had no rest whatsoever. But he just, he's just so calm on the ball. He's not going to be a game changer. He did score. He did score the winner against Coventry, a late winner. But we're not expecting him to do that at all. It's just breaking the play up. He'll take the ball off the goalkeeper when you're playing out from the back, and just looks really settled, and nothing's too much for him. He did get caught out a little bit for Cardiff's goal at the weekend, but that wasn't really his. It was. They caught us on the break, and he just had to be the last man back, and not really his game, to be honest. But no, he's fantastic. And then you mentioned Michael Smith. Funny one that, because you said he linked with Derby. I would have said I would have driven him there, to be fair, last season. I thought that his time at Sheffield Wednesday was done, and we were kind of moving on, and that was finished. Fair play to him. He's knuckled down. It looks better. He looks 10 times better this season already. He looks different. Looks like he's been working out in the gym. Looks a bit fitter. I'm not saying he wasn't unfit before, but Championship was kind of a step too far for him if you look in his career. Obviously at Rotherham, did well in League One, gets to the Championship. I know he was in a poor side, but tend to struggle. Whereas this season he's scored an absolute worldie against Portsmouth, which you probably saw a few weeks back. That was a fantastic goal. He's just we're struggling for goals, and he's chipped in with a few. He's not started many games, which is Ike Ugbo's started. I mentioned him. He's not got a goal in the league, but I think because we chased him so much, Danny Reel feels like he has to play him, which fair enough. I get that. But yeah, Smith found it hard in terms of starts, but his goal per minute ratio is I believe it's the best at the club so far, and we'll see what he can do against his former manager at the weekend.
Yeah, I think Warren will be quite worried with how he's performing at the moment, and obviously that's probably why he was very interested in him last summer. But I think it would be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I mean, is there anyone that, from a Sheffield Wednesday perspective, that you're worried about facing, or any the way we're playing? Is there any particular players that have caught your eye from a Derby perspective that may cause Sheffield Wednesday some issues this weekend?
I hate playing against any former player. So Nathaniel Mendez-Lang will probably score at the weekend. That's what normally happens. Whenever we come up against anyone that's played for us, they seem to either have a worldie or they actually get on the score sheet at some point. So yeah, we're very, very worried about him. Still haven't forgiven him for Sunderland in the playoffs where he didn't track his man and then they scored late on. So yeah, I don't think he'll be getting a decent reception from the travelling Wednesday fans at the weekend. Cashin is one who I think it's just, I'm surprised he's still playing at Derby, if I'm being honest. I think he's an excellent young centre-back, although he's not that young anymore, is he really? 23? Can you class that as being young or not? Not too sure on that one. But yeah, I think, like I said, Derby are just a bogey side. You could put anyone out there, but playing at Pride Park, we just can't seem to beat you, and it's just a real frustration. I've not got the stats to hand, but I think I don't think we've won there since 97 or something ridiculous like that. It's a long time since we've won at Pride Park. Was it even Pride Park in 97? When did you move there? I can't even remember now.
2000, so it would have been baseball ground before then. So.
Yeah, so we haven't won at Pride Park, which is a depressing stat.
And from, I'm going to hope to God that you say set pieces, but I mean, is there any way that Derby can exploit Sheffield Wednesday this weekend? Is there any little bit of nuggets of wisdom that you might drop into Derby fans and say, this might be the way we beat Sheffield Wednesday?
Set pieces.
Yeah.
Honestly, it literally is. We are terrible. We are awful at defending set pieces. I want to say we've got better, have we? I'm not too sure. Yeah, whenever there's a corner or a free kick in a dangerous area, I'm just, we're just worried that it's going to be a goal. Zonal marking just does not work whatsoever. I don't even know why teams do it anymore. But yeah, we just seem to, we can't defend them, and attacking them, you might as well not even bother trying, because we either give a foul away or overhit it, who don't get past the first man. It's just so, so frustrating. I mean, the goal we conceded against Sheffield United, it's a free kick. It gets headed away, and then we don't clear it properly, and the ball comes straight back in. I know it's a good goal that they scored, but I mean, to be fair, Cardiff's goal at the weekend came actually from our corner, believe it or not. So we had a corner. We'd have been better off just making them us kicking it out for a goal kick. We're more dangerous from a goal kick than we are actually from our corner. Why do fans cheer when we get a corner? I mean, I suppose I'm guessing the way you're going off, you're actually all right at set pieces, but I never
it's the
get
only way
why,
we score.
Yeah, I never get why, especially us Sheffield Wednesday fans, why we get really excited when we get a corner, because nothing ever comes from it. I think we must have the worst stats from corners, both in an attacking and defending sense, in the EFL. We are really, really poor at it. We signed a set piece coach, but we signed him from Accrington. I mean, no slight on the guy or anything like that, but I mean, these levels, and he's not really. I've not seen any sort of difference. And if you see whoever the corner taker is, whether they put one hand up in the air, two hands, touch the head, touch the feet, whatever they do, it doesn't mean a thing. It just means it's going to hit the first man every single time.
Well, I think Derby fans will be absolutely ecstatic to hear that, because at the moment that is the only way we put the ball in the net by the looks of it. Because
that doesn't sound great for us at all.
I mean, open play though, it could be very, very boring. So we'll have to wait and see. But
it can't be any more boring than the last game at Pride Park 2 seasons ago. I was there for that one. I've made the decision not to go, this weekend to this one, but that was the most boring 0-0 draw I have ever seen in my entire life. Nothing happened. I mean, the most entertaining thing was the back and forward between the Derby and Wednesday fans with the chanting. That was about it. Asking you to bounce, and then you bounced a bit, and then that was probably the most entertaining bit of the game, to be fair.
It is. It was, and the trouble is, for anyone who's going, and I'm one of them, the way both teams have been going in the recent form, is going to be a draw. So we know which way it's going to go.
Yes.
But before I let you go, James, I'm going to ask you the question, and I'm going to ask you a goal scorer from a Sheffield Wednesday perspective. If you think you are going to score, what is the score prediction for yourself this weekend, mate?
Well, I'll give you two, because I can't come on here and say that we're going to get beat, and we are going to beat Derby County at Pride Park at some point in my lifetime. So I'm going to say that we're going to beat you 2-0, and Ike Ugbo, he'll not score against Hull. Obviously, we're recording this before the midweek fixture. He'll not score against Hull, but he'll get his first goal against Derby, and maybe Michael Smith will score as well. They started both of them at the weekend, which was a shock, so maybe he'll do the same next week. But if I go with my head, that was with my heart. With my head, I think you're probably right. It'll be a 1-1. It'll be a 1-1 draw. We'll go behind and we'll peg it back to 1-1 like we did at the weekend. And again, Ike Ugbo to score.
Well, the listeners of the pod will have probably heard me on Sunday, and I went with a win, a narrow win, 1-0. I'll have to stick with that, because if I go against it, the lads will rinse me. So I'll go with the 1-0 win. So and I think I went with the Jerry Yates goal, because he can't play this week in the midweek, and we were almost in tears at that on the podcast on Sunday, because of his playing against his parent club, which he can't do. So he'll be coming back off a fresh week to play yourselves, hopefully continue the form. But knowing our luck, it might go the other way. But James, been an absolute pleasure. For any Sheffield Wednesday fans who do catch this, where can they find you if they already have? I know you've got a great following and a great podcast on your side, but how can they find you if they haven't done so already?
Yeah, it's the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. We're on all major podcasting platforms, on YouTube as well. And you can get us on social media. Twitter is the best place, at WTID Pod. Before I go as well, we haven't had a penalty in the league since we played you in League One on the last day of the season.
It ain't happening.
That is a mad stat. We didn't have a penalty for the whole of last season. We haven't had a penalty so far this season. Like I said, the last one we got was at Hillsborough, and even to be fair, I don't think that were a penalty either. But anyway,
I'm just trying to see. I don't think I don't know if they've assigned them. I was trying to see who the referee was to see if we're on course for one, but I can't find one. For anyone who's listening, keep an eye out for who the referee is, because I think James might have just unlocked something there.
Do you know what? We've been saying it every week. We haven't had a penalty. We're never going to get one. Whatever the record is, I think we've got to play another 2 games or something. I mean, maybe the Derby game is actually the record for the longest the club has gone without actually receiving a penalty. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. And for anyone who has listened and got to the end of this pod, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe if you follow us on YouTube. You know where we are at the moment. And obviously, please do catch James and his team. They do a great job covering Sheffield Wednesday. And we'll see how it all plays out on Sunday. Thanks again, James.
No problem. Cheers.